in Frankyrose's crime updates. You are now tuned in Frankyrose's crime updates.
Let's switch to suspense. Let's switch to suspense.
You are now tuned in Frankyrose's crime updates. Crime updates. You are now tuned in Frankyrose's crime updates.
Can you guys hear the volume at all? I'm going to try something else here. Still looking, friends. I'm kind of surprised that there's not much out here. Hey there, Mexi. How you doing? Mexi. I'm trying to find something on an update here for the Queen. There we go. How are you doing? They put, hang on here. So they put usually, well, it'll be the British flag, and it'll go over top of her, and probably I'm imagining royalties also got um, their own flag for her as well, but they usually cover them with that, and then no problem. They usually, after the ceremony, they will take that, what they've draped over top of the casket, and they fold it together and hand it to the family to keep, kind of like a military. I didn't get to watch this today. Not for everyone, but I totally enjoy it.
already lining up outside Westminster Hall here in London, where the Queen will lie in state starting tomorrow. And officials are warning the wait time there could hit up to 35 hours. The Queen's coffin is set to make its final journey to London after members of the public paid their respects in Edinburgh, Scotland. King Charles and his 3 siblings stood vigil beside the coffin there last night.
Yeah.
With Princess Anne making history as the first woman to ever take part in that tradition. Meanwhile, King Charles III is making his first appearance in Northern Ireland as monarch. It's a delicate trip, as Northern Ireland has long been divided as to whether they identify as British or Irish. ABC's Amy has more.
Every part of his new kingdom in the coming days.
It's very important at this time of mourning that the king goes to the 4 corners of the United Kingdom to meet the people, to also meet the politicians there, because of course Great Britain is Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
That doesn't work. I can find another one here. Oh, seriously? You've got it? It's just me. Okay.
The service of Thanksgiving, the choir singing Psalm 20, the same psalm performed at the Queen's wedding.
Can you hear that?
In 1947. The night closing with an emotional vigil. The Queen's children guard over their mother, mourning not just the loss of a monarch, but a matriarch. The Queen's daughter making history as the first woman to take part in the so-called Princess Vigil. Princess Anne is preparing to make that final trip with her mother back to Buckingham Palace. She will be flying with her coffin just as she rode behind it from Balmoral to Edinburgh, a dutiful daughter with her mother every step of the way on this final journey. Diane?
Every step of the way. Amy Robach, thank you. And let's bring in ABC News World contributor Omid Scobie, who joins me live with ABC's Inez de la Quatara for more. Omid, what can we expect to see as the Queen's coffin makes its way from Edinburgh, from St. Giles Cathedral, here to London and Buckingham Palace?
Yeah, well, of course, after the service that we've been watching, there will be a moment in which we see the Guard of Honour receive the Queen's coffin at the airport before it makes its way over here to London. Of course, she will be joined by Princess Anne, who's been loyally with her through this entire journey. I think many people in the UK are really thinking about her at this moment as they see her in every moment, of course, including that unprecedented moment at last night's vigil. Of course, tonight there will be a small receival of the Queen's coffin by royal family members at Buckingham Palace. So I think it'll be a chance for us to see more of the family together in that moment of mourning.
And as officials are already warning that to see the Queen, you may have to wait up to 35 hours if you are able to make it in at all. People are already starting to line up, even though the doors are not expected to open until around noon tomorrow for the Queen to lie in state. So how much security is going on around this? How extensive are these preparations?
Yes, so some are saying this could be the biggest security operation ever faced by the City of London. And in fact, the new
For whatever reason, I'm not hearing a damn thing. Try this again here. I am on it. Canada's getting a stat holiday due to the Queen's passing. Okay. Or not. Try this again. Thanks for having patience while I'm looking for something with volume. Looking. Let's see. It totally surprises me that more people don't have interest in this. Blows me away. Isn't it totally amazing, though, what they have gone through as far as celebrating her life? But you know what? All of these plans would have been made, oh, decades ago. I'm sure there's been a little bit of fine tuning here and there, but literally decades. Years, friend. Forever. She's been in charge for 70 some years. So, she lost her husband, that they had to be prepared for dealing with that. And now, a year later, it's the Queen. And they literally, if you watch how these guys stand, the arm movements, everything is precision. Isn't it amazing the amount of work that they put into this? Like, they don't miss a beat. And you're right, nobody tries to climb over fences to try to get to them or try to take flowers off the vehicles or whatever it might be. They are, I mean, I can see there's lots of people patrolling there, but they're usually pretty respectful. The last one that I seen was when Lady Diana died. And oh my God, that was like the saddest freaking thing ever. Those poor boys walking behind her casket. Oh, I'm not getting volume from this one again. Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I am not sure. I had no volume on that last one again. I don't know what's going on with that, but Let's see if this. Well, I don't seem to be getting any volume. Do you know what? Again, you got like the world's best questions, friend. I don't know. I really don't know. I would, do they have a flag? That's one thing I really don't know much about. So hold on here. Let's see if
The extended family, royal family, waiting for inside for more. We're joined by the Sun's royal commentator, Emily Andrews. Emily, she really came home with a bang, didn't she? She stopped the entire city.
She absolutely did, Koshi. I have never seen scenes like this ever before in my life. I've been in royal convoys myself when I've toured, gone on tour with the now King, as was Prince Charles or Kate or William, Harry and Meghan. I've never seen anything like this. I was actually in front of that rolling procession from RAF Northolt back to Buckingham Palace. I was in a car in front, and it was just astonishing driving down the A40. It's one of the main arterial roads into the centre of London. Hundreds of thousands of people out in the streets wanting to pay their respect to the Queen. There was shouts, there was cheers, there was silence. I mean, it was incredibly moving. I felt quite emotional, actually. She's home. She's come home.
Wow. And on such a dark and dreary night, and to see that royal hearse like a beacon, basically lighting up the night, wasn't it?
Yes, and it was fantastic, actually, because you could really see the coffin, that beautiful wreath of flowers on the top. The standard, the flag that was covering her coffin was changed in the air. In Scotland, she had her royal standard, Scottish standard on top of her coffin while she was in the air en route back to London from Edinburgh. It was changed to her standard that is flown when she's in England. And it was absolutely phenomenal that the hearse was, she designed it herself. That hearse, designed by Land Rover and the Queen, was designed so that as many people could see her as possible, and it was lit up. She didn't know, obviously, when she would depart this world. She didn't know when she didn't, obviously, she couldn't have planned it better herself, actually, I think, being in Scotland. But the fact that the hearse was lit up meant that everyone could see her. And of course, the Queen always said, I have to be seen to be believed. And hundreds of thousands of people saw her on the streets of London tonight. It brought London to a standstill. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it really did. And that was the incredible part, wasn't it?
Yep.
That we're on this, awful night in London weather-wise, and these beautiful bright lights shining down. It's a long drive, Emily, and for every kilometre of that journey, there were people stopping their cars and getting out of their cars and lining those streets and wanting to be part of this. That was incredible to see.
Absolutely. And when the Buckingham Palace did funeral briefings for the Queen, as they did from time to time before her death, I went along. I've been reporting on the Royals for over 10 years now, and we all went along. Obviously, they were off-camera briefings. It was to prepare us for when Operation London Bridge happened. The palace was always slightly nervous about what would happen. What would the public reaction be? There were all these plans in place for, if she died in Balmoral, if she died in Sandringham, and for exactly these scenes that we're witnessing for her to be seen by the public. But of course, no one could anticipate whether the public would want to see her. Well, I think tonight that has been answered in absolute spades. We saw hundreds of thousands of people in Scotland wanting to pay their respects. I mean, England has really shown its true colours this evening, and even the clouds, Koshian, now, even the clouds have been crying for her.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way of putting it, Emily, and it's so true. Yeah, look, I suppose it gives us a taste too. We know, we're seeing these pictures now, and it still gives you goosebumps. We know that she's going to lie in the ballroom here at Buckingham Palace tonight. The family are going to gather and mourn, and then tomorrow she's going to go to Westminster Hall and have those 4 days and 5 nights lying in state. This tonight, I think, gives us a taste of what we are going to see.
So 4 days and 5 nights she'll be in state. I love that she had that designed for her hearse, and had it lit up. Look at how beautiful it looks. Amazing.
See in London for that time.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there are some suggestions that London is going to be full. I mean, London is one of the biggest cities in the world. It's got millions of inhabitants. And to suggest that London is going to be full is kind of unheard of. But I think what we're witnessing are unprecedented scenes. Tonight, the Queen rests at home in the ballroom on the ground floor of Buckingham Palace. It's not a room that's seen by the public. I've actually been in it myself. It opens out onto the garden at Buckingham Palace. And we know the Queen loved the gardens at Buckingham Palace so much, so it's rather fitting that her last night at Monarchy HQ, her home, she'll be overlooking the gardens that she loved to walk in. And then tomorrow, a precursor really of the state funeral next Monday, she will go in slow, solemn procession to the Palace of Westminster, the original royal palace of kings and queens before it became our seat of democracy and the Houses of Parliament. And she will go in a solemn procession. The King will walk behind her with Princess Anne, with Prince Andrew, with Prince Edward, her 4 children. And then, as you say, she'll lie in state in the Palace of Westminster for 4 days, 5 nights, and members of the public will be able to process slowly past her coffin. We're anticipating people coming from all around the world. It's not just heads of state and prime ministers who are flying in. It's ordinary members of the public who are coming from Australia, from New Zealand, from America, who want to come and pay their respects. Tonight, the palace released details of the queue and how people can queue and where they can join it. And 50 years ago, there was a very famous colour writer, newspaper reporter called Vincent Mulcrone, and he described Winston Churchill's funeral thus. Tonight, he said, there are 2 rivers running through London, and one of them is people. I expect we will see exactly those things echoed tomorrow. We'll see the River Thames and then a river of people alongside it, waiting to say their personal goodbye to their Queen.
But Emily, there were so many moments in this arrival back in London, from the honour guard, the the transfer of the coffin to the hearse, even down to the police escort, motorcycle escort, when they stopped to let the hearse inside the gates of Buckingham Palace, stopped and all of them bowed their heads. So many emotional moments that for the next 4 days, it's going to be incredible to be here in London.
I mean, it will be astonishing. We are witnessing pomp, pageantry, ceremony, the like of which us Brits, Koshi, haven't seen since, frankly, the state funeral of Winston Churchill, which was a long time before I was born. I mean, the last time, 20 years ago was the last time we had a state funeral for the Queen Mother. It was nowhere near as big as this. I went to Margaret Thatcher, our late Prime Minister's funeral, a couple of years ago. It was a state funeral. It was nothing as Monday is going to be. We haven't had a lying estate for so long. It's going to be phenomenal.
Okay, Emily, thank you very much for your insight. We'll talk to you soon.
The King leaving Belfast to return to London in order to be present when Her Majesty the Queen returns to lie at rest overnight in Buckingham Palace. It's perhaps worth bearing in mind that the soldiers who have with such care from the Royal Regiment of Scotland conveyed the Queen through much of the ceremonial we've seen in the last day and a half were, when she was alive, doing normal military training. And in short time, they have become prepared and have delivered the most perfect job and duty for their late sovereign. They now receive their headdress back. after marching away. I think to them, the gratitude of Scotland is owed for the dignity with which they have protected and looked after the Queen of Scots. Royal Company of Archers presenting their bows. From the centre of Edinburgh, taking leave of the Minister of St Giles and the Dean of the Chapels Royal, Sir Tim Lawrence and the Princess Royal. Now,
So Princess Margaret, you sure don't see much of her, and sounds like she stayed with her mum all through the night until she passed. A lot of people said that they think that maybe it should have been passed down to her, but that isn't how it works.
start this final journey. The longest reigning Queen of Scots, having received that final royal salute from the Royal Company of Archers, who were her bodyguard, now making her way through the Lawn Market. And a glimpse there of Edinburgh Castle's turrets just at the top of Castle. As the journey down Johnson Terrace, also lined by lots of Scots and others today. Beneath the ramparts of the great castle, the weather has been so
Look at that castle. Oh my God. It's gorgeous. It's massive. There are so many castles within this royal family, and each and every one of them, I swear, is just as pretty as the last.
Unbelievably good since the Queen's journey from Balmoral began. And Scotland really has bedecked herself with the most unbelievable beauty to say goodbye to this longest reigning Queen of Scots. In the distance, we can hear the thump of the drums as the Royal Company of Archers march from the parade, their last, to their Queen. The hearse will turn to the right towards Lothian Road. The great military barracks in the castle, built in 1799, looking across the walls that were rebuilt during Queen Victoria's reign, down the craggy rock to this road as it winds around towards Princess Street. So many people managed to pay their respects here in Edinburgh while the Queen was lying at rest. A fleeting moment for each person there, maybe having never met a queen who they felt they knew. The Queen reflected so much of Scottish life in her example and in her determination to serve in accordance with the commitments she made at her coronation.
I have one more thing to kind of check out here. Let's see here. Is that it? That's not it. Try another one. They had some that were kind of bioptic. And if I can find the one that I was looking at, I'll bring it up. The royal family, it does have its own channel as well, Mexi, and it's just simply called the Royal Family Channel. Hmm. Looking. Is this it? No.
The sovereign grant, which supports my official duties as head of state.
Okay, we've already seen that. So I think that's everything, friend. There's a couple that are, short videos of stuff that I have not seen.
King Charles has had a lifetime to prepare for the throne, and in the past, he's talked.
So let's see here. They're worth a deep dive. I mean, there's some pretty sinister things out there too. So yeah, could be interesting for you to look into them a little bit. Might be surprised. So, okay, I'm going to try this one. Is this it?
Next in line to the throne is the new Prince of Wales, William, and his wife, Kate, now Princess of Wales. Their kids also have titles, but they aren't considered working royals yet because they're just...
King Charles has had a lifetime to prepare for the throne, and in the past, he's talked about his preference for a slimmed down version of the monarchy. David Coleman shows us what that just might look like.
Adrian, it's likely about to get smaller. So 6 years ago, the Queen's 90th birthday, there were 15 working royals. Those are members of the family who appear on behalf of the sovereign at events. Charles has previously suggested he wants to reduce that to just 8 senior members for financial and practical reasons. Now, Camilla is Queen Consort, so she is one of those 8 automatically. Next in line to the throne is the new Prince of Wales, William, and his wife, Kate, now Princess of Wales. Their kids also have titles, but they aren't considered working royals yet because they're just too young. For now, Charles's brother, Prince Edward, and his wife, Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, are likely to remain in, as will his sister, Princess Anne. So if we're counting, that is just 7 of the desired 8, but it might be it for now. So who isn't likely to be on the list? Scandal-plagued Prince Andrew. But he keeps his title Duke of York. Traditionally, that would go to the second son of the monarch, and that is now Harry, but the title is taken. Harry and Meghan, of course, have chosen not to be working royals, but their kids, Archie and Lilibet, are now automatically Prince and Princess because they are grandchildren of the new sovereign and no longer great-grandchildren. Remember, in that interview with Oprah, Meghan suggested that the title was being denied to Archie, perhaps because of his race. All right, lastly, who's moving? Well, you might assume King Charles will go into Buckingham Palace, but he could choose not to. He actually likes his current smaller home, Clarence House. It's nearby, so he could stay and just use part of Buckingham as an office. He could even open up those vast grounds to the public. If he leaves Clarence House, it's probably going to remain unoccupied until one of those grandkids grows up and perhaps becomes a working royal. Will and Kate are not likely to leave their existing place outside London, that is Adelaide Cottage on the Windsor estate, or their apartment that's in London, Adrian. It is, of course, inside Kensington Palace.
A shocking security breach as a man runs in front of King Charles III's car. It happened as the new king's motorcade was leaving Parliament. His maroon Rolls-Royce was slowed down by bumper-to-bumper traffic. The man ran to reach the king's car. Fortunately, all he wanted was a photograph, but security experts are shocked he was allowed to get so close.
This was a huge failure. That person should have never have gotten that close to King Charles, period.
A former royal bodyguard was quoted as saying the man was milliseconds from death at the hands of armed police. The incident is raising disturbing questions about security as heads of state from across the globe, including President Biden and the First Lady, prepare to gather for the Queen's funeral. There was another disturbing incident as King Charles followed the Queen's hearse in a solemn procession through Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, where the Queen is lying in state. Alongside Charles were his sister Anne and brothers Andrew and Edward. Andrew was the only sibling not in military uniform. He was stripped of his rank over allegations of sexual misconduct in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Suddenly, the silence was broken. There was uproar as a spectator heckled the prince. Raw emotion was also on display as King Charles and Queen Camilla heard Britain's lawmakers sing the national anthem. He bit his lip and fought back a tear. But he had a moment of temper at a ceremony where he was formally proclaimed king. He irritably signaled to an aide to clear his desk of clutter so he could sign the documents. Then, as he was signing, he growled at the aide again to remove a pen tray. We spoke to royal expert Victoria Arbiter in London.
We have to step back and acknowledge that the stress he must be feeling is monumental. Aside from the fact that he's grieving the loss of his mother on a global public stage, he's also having to undertake the constitutional duties that he's now expected to maintain.
Meanwhile, concerns are being raised over the 73-year-old king's health. He is the oldest British monarch ever to ascend to the throne. Photos of his hands show his fingers stubby and badly swollen. We showed the photos to cardiologist Dr. Stephen Reisman.
The swollen hands could be related to swollen joints in a condition such as arthritis, or it could be related to water retention within the body, which can be due to liver disease.
Tomorrow, the Queen's body will be brought back to London. Inside Edition's Alison Hall is outside Buckingham Palace.
The Queen will lie in state for 24 hours a day for 4 days, and it's expected that tens of thousands of people will file past her coffin. So many that authorities here are warning that anyone hoping to pay their respects can expect to stand in line for hours.
To lead them through the grief to a brighter future. He is a new king, but also an old man. Questions will be asked about whether he is the right person to deliver the change needed for the monarchy to survive. Succession is a perilous time for the crown.
So I'm gonna jump off. Yeah, I agree with you. I have nothing nice to say. Say nothing at all. There's always, there's always somebody. But I'm having problems with this volume, so I am going to jump off And if I see anything interesting, I'll jump back on. Thanks for hanging out with me, Mexi Texi. I appreciate you so much. I do. Oh, hell no. I'm going to probably turn on YouTube and see what I've missed on some of the cases I'm watching. He's probably sitting out there by the creek. So I will catch up with you later. Thanks again for being here. You're just awesome. Okay. Bye for now.